The Sword and Shield era is going to go down as one of, if not the best era of Pokemon in terms of popularity and artwork. So today we're going to look at the best of the best. My name is Jack, you're watching JBTCG, and today we're counting down the top 10 best artworks from the Sword and Shield era. And most YouTubers will tell you that this is only their opinion. It's not a fact, it's subjective. But I actually have a spine. This list is factual, no opinions here, and if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. Just kidding, but only kinda. There's a ton of artworks that could have made this list, but these are my personal top 10. So without further ado, let's hop into the honorable mentions. So I have 3 honorable mentions and we'll run through them rapid fire. The first one is the Zekrom Trainer Gallery. This is a crazy cheap card. If you want to pick up like a great piece of artwork without having to break the bank, this is a great option. For anyone who's a fan of black and white, this card is going to be nostalgic. You get N and Zekrom in one card. And the background of the card where they're soaring through the sky just looks so nice. I'm personally a huge fan and that's why I own this card. Alright, honorable mention number 2. This is the Starmie V alt art. This is a really creative, fun, cartoony artwork. You get Misty and Starmie sitting in a pool with the floats around them. It's a really cute card, and if you're a fan of Misty, you're absolutely gonna love it. Alright, honorable mention number 3. This is the Rayquaza V. So this is a more of the it fighting in a battle style card. And honestly, it's pretty easy to not see the trainer in this card because Rayquaza takes up so much of it. The angle of it, you never get this angle for a Rayquaza card or for most Pokemon cards in general. And it really just shows the size and scale of Rayquaza, and I think that's awesome. I'm a big Rayquaza fan, and I'm also a big fan of this card. Alright, we've made it to the top 10. And taking our 10th slot is the Jolteon VMAX promo card. People rarely talk about this card, but it looks insane. The lightning surrounding the Jolteon in all directions, and the crazy pose that they have the Jolteon in, it looks like he's actually actively being fried by electricity. The contrast between the dark blue and purple background and the bright strikes of lightning and the bright Jolteon makes this card really pop, and I think the artwork is done fantastically. It is a little hard to tell the scale because it is a VMAX card. You get the little houses at the bottom of the card, but you can't really tell how massive the Jolteon is. And that, I think, is the only thing that kind of draws this card back. Some of the other evolution cards from Evolving Skies do this a little bit better. But I still think this card is awesome, and it's not that expensive because it's a promo card. Alright, on to number 9. Here we have kind of a tie, or I don't know, I will call it a tag team. 9 is a tag team between Mewtwo V-Star and Charizard V-Star. Mewtwo V-Star from Crown Zenith, and the Charizard is from the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. It's 2 angles of the same fight, and it's so cool. Very anime-esque with it's almost like a Kamehameha, if that makes any sense. But it really is like you took a still frame out of a TV show mid-battle. It's such a cool concept, and these cards are so insane looking, especially if you pair them right next to each other. Now, the Mewtwo V-Star is much more expensive than the Charizard V-Star because it's a promo card, but neither of these have crazy price tags like some of the alt arts. So I wouldn't say the Mewtwo is affordable, but I would say it's definitely within reach for most collectors, and the artwork is pretty insane. Alright, on to number 8, and I might get some flack for putting it this low, but I have the Gengar VMAX from Fusion Strike. I think the card and the sucking of the trees and houses all into Gengar's mouth is super creative, and it complements the actual VMAX Gengar itself really well. Because obviously what is highlighted in the Gengar VMAX? Its enormous mouth. Gengar cards are always cool between the regular version, the Mega Evolution, and the VMAX, and I don't think we'll ever get a card that looks quite like this one ever again. And that's what makes me a big fan of it. At number 7, we have a card that I have in PSA 10 version. It's the Arceus V-Star, which is from Crown Zenith and V-Star Universe. I think this is a card you have to have in person to truly see how cool it is. There's different layers of texture on the card, and the light shines on it in different ways. I'll try and show it here, but it may be a little bit difficult with the glare. But man, if there was ever an Arceus card to highlight the true godlike status of it, it's this card. And I like that it's on top of Mount Coronet in the card, which is kind of a nice callback to the game, which unfortunately we never got the event for. But honestly, this card makes up for it, and as a Gen 4 kid, it warms my heart. Alright, at number 6, we have the Rayquaza VMAX. This is from Evolving Skies, and it's insanely expensive. You can see it swerving through those pillars of rock, which I'm not going to say where it's from because I will butcher the name, but it's someplace in China. It's like a national park over there. It's an awesome place. And I think it highlights the like snakeness of the Rayquaza in such a nice way. And it also highlights its massive VMAX size by showing it swerving through these enormous rock formations. Now, although I love this card, I think there is room for growth. I think it could have been way cooler if you got a ground POV of the Rayquaza. Like you're at the bottom of those pillars looking up at this massive Rayquaza snaking above you. I don't know. I think that could be a little bit better than what we got, but I'm not complaining. All right, at number 5, we have the Leafeon VMAX. This card is adorable. It perfectly hides both the size and the nature of the Leafeon in general. It's playing with a hay bale like a cat would play with a ball of yarn. And the contrast between the bright blue sky, the farm, and the Leafeon is really, really nice. I don't have too much to say about this card, but I don't think they could have done a better Leafeon VMAX than this. And if you're mad that your favorite Evolution VMAX isn't on this list, I fully understand. All of them are really, really good. This is just personally one of my favorites out of all of them. All right, at number 4, we have the Lugia V Alt Art. This is another card that you knew was going to be on this list. And one of the things I think is underrated is how well that this card kind of captures the name of Silver Tempest. Like it is the Silver Tempest. Like that could be like a mythical like nickname for Lugia back in the day before they knew what it was. Like I can imagine in the Pokemon world, like being out at sea like 500 years ago in like your wooden ship, and you see this massive storm coming towards you with these swirling clouds, and the old man who had survived it in the past is like, oh no, the Silver Tempest is coming. The angle and the POV of the sailor and his tiny little rinky-dinky boat next to the enormous Lugia soaring over him with this horrendous storm swirling around is so, so cool. The only thing I wish is that they had a Ho-Oh card to kind of complement it. All right, at number 3, we have the Umbreon VMAX Alt Art. Obviously, this was going to be on the list. I don't think anyone's made a top 10 Sword and Shield cards without this Pokemon on the list. And I know for a fact a bunch of you are raising your pitchforks like, 3? Why is this at 3? And look, I think this card is amazing. I'm not saying it's bad in any way or you could make it better. I just personally don't think it's the greatest artwork we've ever seen. It has great contrast between the blue and the green of the sky, the moon, the city skyline, which is dark, and then the Umbreon climbing up a tower and looking at the moon. It's such a good callback to the OG Moonbreon, and I think if you have it at number 1 on your list, that's completely fair. So then why didn't I put it first, and why is it at 3? Well, my explanation is I'm a Gen 4 kid. In second place, we have the Giratina V-Star from Crown Zenith and V-Star Universe. I'm absolutely in love with the gold cards from these sets. We've never seen any gold Pokemon card like alt art versions that are this cool. I don't even think we've seen gold alt art versions of cards, other than the bland full art where the Pokemon is just standing in there. And this card specifically is so cool. It's so abstract, which I think every Giratina card should be. And it provides the perfect like antithesis to the Arceus card, where you have the god that's on top of a mountain where it's like shining around him, and then you have Giratina snaking in the depths below him. I think these cards are such a good pairing, and it's the second best Giratina card I have ever personally seen. Well, I say second best because in first place, we have the Giratina V Alt Art. First off, I want to say how awesome it is to have 2 Giratina Alt Art cards in the same era with completely different designs and takes on the Distortion World. I think the Distortion World is one of the coolest parts of the Pokemon games ever. And I remember growing up playing Platinum and trying to get through the like jumping on the ceilings, jumping on the walls and stuff like that. And I was like actually struggling with this puzzle. Like nowadays, if I do it, I could run through it in like 5 minutes. But back then I was really, really struggling. And I remember the shadow of Giratina would kind of fly around you when you got to a certain point. When I saw this card for the first time, it immediately reminded me of that moment. This illustration perfectly like encapsulates the abstractness and weirdness of the Distortion World and how the laws of the regular world just don't apply. And they have Giratina Origin Form smack right in the middle of it. It's so cool, and it's my grail card from the Sword and Shield era. Let me know what your favorite cards from the Sword and Shield era are down below. I'm fully expecting most of you guys to completely disagree with my list, and I expect a couple hate comments. But hey, what are you gonna do? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay safe out there.